Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today, Schecter sent me a guitar. If you guys remember, about 5 months ago, I reviewed the Banshee model. That purple demon guitar, that was really cool. I just wasn't really in love with the whole Floyd Rose thing. But Schecter saw that video and they're like, hey, can we send you a guitar so you can review them and kind of raise awareness that Schecter is not just about shreddery metally guy guitars. They make a bunch of like classic style guitars too. So full disclosure, they sent this to me for free. I get to keep it, do whatever I want with it, but I was not paid to make this review or anything. Just the guitar. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what they sent me today because they just kind of let me choose between a few models. And I think we narrowed it down to about 4 of them, so we'll see which one they ended up sending. Definitely don't have to worry about this thing opening up during transit. There we go. And besides that Banshee model, I think the only other one I've reviewed was the Sinister Gates back in the original Trade Tuesday Season 1. So I have very limited experience with Schecter, and I'll be honest, I haven't really thought too much about them. And I guess we also unboxed one of their single cut versions, which was a little bit more of a traditional guitar, but there was never a full review and demo like we're doing today. So here it is. They sent me a nice little hardshell case. Was not expecting that. And I do like the Schecter hardshell cases. They seem like they would stack okay because they've got this ridge on the top right there. And then it feels like this area comes in a little bit smaller, so it would actually kind of interlock within each other. At least I think that's what a Schecter fan was telling me a couple of days ago. But let's go ahead and open up and see what this model is. Interesting. It kind of looks like a Cabronita Telecaster. What have they sent me here? Alright, Schecter Diamond Series. Wow, would you look at that? So it's kind of like a T-style guitar. That's kind of like a Telecaster Custom in a way, but yet it's got the T.V. Jones style pickup, so it really reminds me of those Cabronitas that I really love. Now, I believe they call this model the Fastback, and I think it's new for 2020. So first impressions here, we get a satin finish neck. It feels like one of those higher end overseas made instruments, kind of like that Minaret guitar I had at one point in time. That binding has that very distinct kind of yellowed look to it. Let's see, where is it made? Indonesia. But wow. I love this back. That is fantastic. I like this too because even though they got the bolt-on neck right here and they don't have the neck plate, they still have that sculpted a little bit. Then they kind of have what Fender's done with like the Tele Ultra series. So they're definitely trying to get everything out of your way, and I would say that is definitely successful right there. So as far as playing up here, I think you'll be comfortable up until about the second to last fret. And a lot of times manufacturers will actually cheap out on top binding if they have a little comfort carve right there. So that is nice to see that they still do that. But it looks like we have, how many pieces to the body? Looks like one right there. And there's a second one there, then a third one. Is there a fourth on this side? Maybe not. But I am digging the sparkle gold finish. That is looking pretty cool. Something that is throwing me a little bit off though is I'm missing that first fret inlay. Usually when you have square inlays, you'll have one on the first fret, so that's something a little bit to get used to. But first impressions, I'm not seeing anything that really stands out as super strange. I love that this is more of a traditional guitar. I don't have to worry about a Floyd Rose setup or anything. I'm really excited to try out these style of pickups. We'll have to figure out what they are. But before we throw this one on the workbench, let's go ahead and check out Schecter's website and see what kind of models they do have available, and if this one's available in any different finishes. They have many different acoustic style guitars. That's kind of an interesting one with 3 sound holes. Then the Schecter Banshee GTs, I reviewed that purple one as we were talking about. This is such a cool series, and I'm not normally into these style of guitars. Then there's similar ones like the Banshee Mach, the Apocalypse series, as well as many signature artists. And I think I've seen some people using these Elites, and they've just got so many different styles and in many different colors. But did you know they also do like Explorer type, single cuts, even V-styled instruments? I never really knew that. And hey, did you know Schecter is actually the father brand of Wild Audio? But anyways, the one that we're talking about today comes from the Retro series. This thing right here reminds me of a Les Paul Signature. You could check out this review and demo for one of those. I mean, it's not quite the same, but it kind of reminds me of it based on the gold top. Looks like they even have a Firebird style model. And this thing's looking pretty cool too. A Les Paul Special even? Wow. But it looks like the one we're talking about today is the PT Fastback. And it looks like they're going after like that Telecaster Custom / Telecaster Deluxe like vibe with the pickup offerings that they have. PT Fastback 2, it's in a dark emerald green finish. I really like this one, and it has those split humbuckers on here, so it's like looking exactly like that. That's a cool one. But then we've got the one that we're talking about today, which is in the Goldtop finish. And these are mid-priced guitars at $599 brand new. But if you don't like the Goldtop finish, it looks like you could choose a black one. This is more like the Telecaster Custom in the fact that it has the wide range humbucker up here and then a different one in the bridge. Traditionally, it'd be the regular single coil, but it's kind of cool to see that they're doing that and they match the inlays to be black. They also have a 3-tone sunburst version of that one, as well as a white one. But all in all, I think I'm happy with the one that they sent me because it has that natural mahogany back. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one on the workbench to learn more about its specs. So with it all taken apart, here's what it looks like. Let's go ahead and go over each and every little individual spec here. So most of this guitar is covered over by that pickguard. This might be some good information for them to know. Some of the dust that gets trapped underneath the pickguard actually ends up indenting the finish. Now, obviously, you can't see that with the pickguard on, but maybe just something for them to be aware of. But you've got your toggle switch in this location. It's completely shielded off. You've got the shielding within the routes right here, but you are still able to see through to the mahogany body on the edges within these channel routes. But then inside where your controls are, they've got it completely shielded off. So the pickups in here, they're calling them the Schecter Diamond Series Ultratron pickups. Kind of getting into Transformers era. Let's call the next version the Decepticons. But that's just a play on words from the original Filtertron style. We've got FLT N4, likely meaning neck 4 conductor. And then you've got your 4 conductor bridge. Now notice, I say 4 conductor because if you look over here, I was surprised to see this. Your tone pots are actually push-pulls. So that means not only do we have the traditional 3 tones, neck, middle, and bridge, but we can also coil split them as well. So that's something that kind of surprised me. And then our regular tone pots, they are made in Korea. And they've got the shielding right here, and they also have a little shielding plate around here. So pretty basic little pickguard here. It appears to be 3-ply, white, black, and white. So if you were to wear through the white layer, you would see a black layer. But let's say you're not a Filtertron kind of guy. Can you actually fit a humbucker in here? It's very close. I mean, it's okay this way, but you'd have to do a little bit of additional routing on the edges. Or I guess if you were really tricky, you might be able to shave your base plates down. So yes, but no at the same time. But as far as the bridge goes, it's your standard string through style. And they call this the Diamond Hardtail bridge. It actually feels really beefy and substantial. That's like one of the big things that stood out to me at first. A lot of times these bridges can feel really cheap, but this one, it's got a decent weight to it and it feels pretty thick. And I love the look of that like spoiler on the back. That's cool. But that just secures to the body with 4 screws like that, and then you've got 6 individual saddles. As far as the knobs, they're the reflector top hat style, kind of from Gibson territory. They also say volume and tone. So I'm just loving the specs of this guitar. It's kind of like a Schecter version of Fender's version of a Les Paul within the Telecaster body. Everybody's doing each other here. We can say that even with more certainty because we've got the Goldtop finish. So as we kind of saw when we first unboxed it, it is just a mahogany body. There's no maple top or anything. It's just a standard T-style guitar as far as that goes. And while I was putting this thing back together here real quick there, I was like, would the humbucker actually fit in the bridge? It does to an extent, but you would have to widen out the pickguard. But as far as pickup readings, these are actually pretty low whine. So 4.77 in the bridge. Our neck position, wow, 4.08. And then in the middle, 2.2. Now remember, you can also coil split each and every single one of these to get it all the way down to 1 if you have them both split. This one 2.39 split, and this guy 2.04. So I'm really curious how this thing will sound. The online spec sheet says this has 22 extra jumbo frets. That is something that I noticed about these things. They are tall. So that might be a deciding factor between which brand you go for on this one. If you like those super tall frets, you might check these guys out. The spec sheet calls it an ebony fretboard. The only small little defect I could see on this one is it looks like it got scratched or something right there. And I noticed that these frets were kind of squeaky, so I gave them a little bit of a polish job. They look super polished right out of the box, but when I did some bends, I could feel that it was kind of grating on it. But acrylic block inlays, they're looking pretty good. And if you would prefer the rosewood fretboard, remember all those other ones that we talked about. Certain ones got the rosewood board, other ones had maple. Definitely take some time to dig into their website to see which one would best suit you if you are interested. And the website calls this the Graphtec XL Tusk Nut.
And I measure a 1.64 inch nut width, and by the 12th it's 2.05, with a first fret neck depth of 0.8 and 0.88 by the 12th, so a relatively thin feeling neck. And we gotta remember, Schecter sent this guitar to me to get my honest opinions on it. I don't like the headstock. I think they should try something a little bit different. I mean, I get what they're going for, but maybe try to do something even more unique, because this just doesn't quite do it for me. The logo looks pretty nice. I'm not in love with the way that you get to the truss rod either. It'd be nice if there was a way to hide that, because it's just, you know, a little bit ever present. So maybe the 2021 models could do something with this to spice it up. But we've got 2 string trees on the top here. But so far, besides the headstock, I really do enjoy this guitar. The fretboard feels nice. I love the look of this, but the true money shot for this one, and why I think this finish is superior to all the other ones, is that side profile view. You get that beautiful mahogany color mixed with that gold top. I just love the back of this thing. They really knocked it out. They're doing themselves an injustice, leaving that white one and the black one all filled in on. And despite being multi-piece, they don't hide it with a veneer or anything like that. They just match the wood grain really well. I mean, you can definitely tell. I mean, super tight wood grain right here, and then it gets a little bit streakier, but that looks good to me. And you get this giant comfort carve back here. And you've got the large strap buttons, your string through ferrules, your output jack on the side. It's just kind of a flat one. And then the neck sculpting, as we were kind of talking about. But here's the other thing that I don't really like about this one. I feel like this one should have got a mahogany neck. I know, maple necks are traditional on this style of instrument, but how cool would it be if this entire back just matched with beautiful mahogany? Because I think I would like the headstock more if it was a dark mahogany color, because then it would kind of naturally hide that little cutaway right there for the truss rod access. It would be a little bit harder to make sure that your Schecter's standing out, but I think that would make this model look fantastic. As of right now, they're just kind of going for that 70s Goldtop Deluxe vibe, which is cool in its own right, but I would love to see a mahogany necked version, or maybe even a baked maple version. But this neck does have that satin finish that we were talking about earlier, so super fast to play, and then everything else is a beautiful gloss. Got a little bit of a volute bump, and here we can see our serial number, crafted in Indonesia, with mini Grover tuners. As far as QC goes, this thing actually appears to be pretty good. It's finished in a poly finish, so it's not quite as difficult to get right as nitro. But you can see along the edges, like the wood looks a little bit sloppy, like there's that line right there. I'm not talking the seam line, that's gonna happen, but there's just some marks in the wood. Where it was really noticeable for me was on the side right here. It just looks like you've got 2 slashes in your guitar, so I don't know, maybe you can just nickname this that. I don't believe that's wood grain. The fretwork was actually pretty good. I mean, the only nitpicky stuff I could find is like the E side of the nut. You can see it sticks out just a hair. It could have been filed down a little bit smoother there. I really don't see that affecting playability too much. So all in all, pretty solid guitar as far as build quality goes. But all said and done, this thing weighs 7 pounds, 14.3 ounces, so just shy of 8 pounds. That's pretty good for this. So let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this thing sounds. Now that we know all about the Schecter Fastback model, what are my final thoughts and opinions on this thing? Did it blow me away in the tone department? Unfortunately, no. Maybe it's because I'm used to hotter pickups, but these Ultratron pickups, they just sounded a little bit too weak. In my opinion, the only thing that I really enjoyed out of this guitar was the neck clean tone. That had a nice juiciness to it, but as soon as you put some distortion on it, it was a little bit too muddy. Now, sometimes the coil splits can help to clean that up, but I honestly, I didn't really find anything that I liked using these, unfortunately. So for me, I would prefer a different pickup style, but if you're used to the low whine pickups, maybe you would like it better. But how does it play? How does it feel to play this thing? It's comfortable. I mean, you've got this comfort cut back here for your belly if you need it. Once again, you've got those extra carvings on the back, so it makes sure that you can get all the way up to the upper registers. If you play up there, I usually rarely ever get there. The neck is very thin, a little bit too thin for my preferences, but if you like those really slim necks, you're gonna enjoy this one. But as far as build quality goes, the only thing I noticed is the G string. There's a little like groove in the nut, so you can kind of hear it pinch. But that's the only other thing that I noticed while playing this, so that just needs a little bit of a nut file to go whoop, and you'd be all good to go there. But the tall frets are great for bending if you like to do that, so that was definitely comfortable. And let's face it, they made a beautiful guitar here. I really dig the aesthetics, and it's been finished nicely, and at $5.99, would I ultimately recommend it? I would say try one of these first, maybe not blindly order one, because there's so many different models out there that maybe the other pickups sound better. Maybe I would like the wide range humbuckers a little bit better. Or maybe it's just because these aren't single coils, and normally when I pick up a Telecaster, I think single coils. But good build quality, just maybe not the guitar for me. But before we say goodbye today, let's go ahead and check it out under Blacklight. Under Blacklight, not too much glowing as far as the body itself goes, but take a look at those inlays, that's pretty cool. Super glow in central, you get a little bit of glowing on the face of the headstock. Everything's looking cool on this Fastback Schecter. Just as a quick clarification here, these do not actually ship with hard shell cases. This is an aftermarket upgrade that you would have to do. I think Schecter cases are around $150 or so. But if you do get one, here's what you can expect. It's a nice blue interior. I love the inside color of Schecter cases. They do have some cool ones. It'd be nice if they had a form-fitting version, because unfortunately, there's a lot of up and down motion, but they have so many crazy shapes, they kind of just have to have a one-size-fits-all type thing. But troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed checking out this Schecter Fastback Goldtop model with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.